bring in the Sandman. Couldn't want it to start any better than that. How are
Hey,
you, sir?
wow, dude, I'm great. I spent the morning waking up with my 2-year-old grandson and my 4-year-old grandson, so life's great today.
Awesome. Good for
Nice.
you. Sir, thank you so much for the time and a lot to
No,
talk about
let me be on.
because because you have a lot going on. So let me first say this, during your career, did you really think that in 2024 that people would still be celebrating what you were able to do? Because they are.
No, you can't. No, there's no way I could have even fathomed that back in those days. That how relevant we still are. I mean, luckily, we were on the WWE, just whatever, and little kids will come up to you and be like, "Oh, you're my favorite wrestler." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "How did you see me?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, my dad got me on their network or whatever, and I can watch all your matches." So that really helps a lot.
Hack, going back to the original inception of the Sandman, you were once a surfer guy, and then you became what we know of you today. When did you realize? We were talking earlier about moments in time and being able to put your finger on a moment in time when you knew, I hit. I'm getting over right now. Is there a moment in time that you remember that you hit?
Yeah, man, maybe probably when it gets to where I'm in the ring and I'm doing like funk out of the box with two like superstars in the business, you know what I mean? And I'm the guy that's a nobody compared to them at that point. Maybe about right then when I'm starting to work with a legend like Terry Funk, I'm like, all right, Hack, you're getting there, dude.
What a moment that was. I remember that was all really out of your brain trust, right? If I can remember
Yeah,
correctly.
pulled him out of the bar. I went to a store and I got that 2 yards of black like tablecloth or whatever you want to call it to put it over that bin, and I put him in there. I got the red, white, and blue pants at Gary the Pitbull's dad used to work at there was a racetrack right over in Jersey then, and they used to have a big flea market every Saturday. So I was over there and I found them two pair of pants. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, yeah, that'll be perfect.
And
English
perfect
town, I
timing.
think.
Funk in a box. If everyone has remembers it, oh, it's perfect
Yeah,
timing.
wow.
Sandman goes in. You even he kind of left his leg out, pulled it in, and then the leg came back out. Funk rolls back in, and the thing is over Sandman's head, and he's getting punched, and then all of a sudden when it gets pulled off and it's revealed as Terry Funk, it was the greatest magic trick of all time because it was done live in front of everybody. No lights off, lights on. It was purely magic.
Hey, the best part about that is if you ever watch it again, because people behind Funk don't actually know it's him yet. So as he starts turning to his left, and then you look at the reaction of everybody in the crowd as they say it, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. That was called The Night the Line Was Crossed?
No, it was Funk in a box.
It's actually Funk in a Box?
Yep.
Okay,
I
that
didn't
was the
really-
name of the show or the pay-per-view at the time?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Gotcha.
think so.
What do you mean you don't think so? I used to do the tapes. It
Oh.
was Funk in a box.
Well, you got a
It
little
might
bit
have been
more
called
credibility
Return
than
of the
me.
Funker. I think that might be it, but we called it Funk in a Box.
Pac, one of the questions that I always wanted to ask you, especially after last night and watching the documentary, obviously they covered the crucifixion angle, which was like one of the highlights of yours and Raven's feud. After the angle happened live, Raven had to go out and apologize because Paul had realized there was a lot of backlash. You were adamant that you were pissed off that the apology happened. Years later, after watching it back, do you have the same stance on it, or has your opinion changed?
No, absolutely have the same stance. There wouldn't have been a problem at all if it wasn't happen chance that was Kurt Angle's first time around the wrestling company. If Kurt wasn't there, there would have been no apology.
So you're saying that definitively you know that if because Kurt
We
was
were all
there and
standing in a circle. We were all standing in a circle. We got back. Ravens to my right, then me, Todd Gordon, Kurt Angle, Shane Douglas, and Paul Heyman. We're in a circle talking, and they start talking about going out there and doing an apology. I'm like, there is no way. This is ECW. We should not be doing that. And then they did it, and I was pissed. No, I was really pissed because I thought it went off well. It
It
got the reaction that I wanted. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, is this what we're watching? Something nobody's ever done. Hey, and Vince stole it 6 months later. Was it the Undertaker hanging Steve Austin on a cross kind of thing?
Definitely.
I'm sure Kurt didn't complain to Vince.
that was actually Kurt's debut.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. I brought
That's
that up. I
hilarious.
brought
I
that up
didn't
to
know that.
him.
That's
It
great.
wasn't.
Didn't
It
know
wasn't
that.
a cross, but it was Undertaker's symbol, which
Thanks.
resembled a cross.
Yeah, same angle.
Yep.
Done way better.
So last night's documentary, I have not yet seen it. I'll probably watch it tonight. Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it, but you know what I realized? How they, because when I'm telling the story about me and Paul coming up to me saying that he knows the kid from Home Alone. I can't think of his name right now. Macaulay Culkin. I don't start that story like that. Somehow they take words that you say and they splice them right in there and you don't even know it. I've never started that story out like that.
Well, shocker to no one. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
So
well,
much.
why don't you
it's
tell
weird.
us the story the way it was meant to be told,
Well,
and
just
not the way
story
they
was.
splice it together?
Well, no, it wasn't so much that they screwed up the story because the story was we were in Reading where remember that dude that he was like a biker dude and he had that gorgeous wife
Yes.
and he was a
Vividly.
promoter.
Damian Kane.
Damian something. He
Damian
was a
Kane.
promoter. We were up in a building that he was promoting. I walked into the locker room. Paul's sitting there. Todd got in there before me because we drove together. Those two were sitting there, and I walk up to Paulie, and that's when Paulie says to me, "They had something different. They spliced something different in there." I mean, it was no big deal, but it was just funny how they did it a couple times during the show. And I'm like, I didn't start that story like that. I didn't say that like that.
Hack.
Yeah.
One of the things that we learned in the documentary last night is the toll, the lifestyle took not only on you physically, mentally, the whole nine, but the toll that it took on your family, especially your wife, Lori. Now, I don't know if you mentioned this, maybe I missed it, but I'd love to know from you. In the time that you were separated from Lori, did you ever have time to reconcile with her? Because you were very apologetic last night, which I love seeing that side of you. Did you ever have that moment with her in real life or with her and your children where you're like, hey guys, kind of sorry you caught up with me?
Yeah, with the kids, yeah, between me and her, I was such an asshole for so long to her, and she took so much that she not only until we're even on speaking terms until the last couple of years with the grandkids coming in and stuff like that, and being at birthday parties and stuff together. You know what I mean? So it's totally cordial.
Good.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Was there anything about the documentary last night that they didn't include that you wish that they did?
Oh, sure. They didn't even one of my boys, Ruben, when me and him they didn't even show him at all. But he was a lot of background when I was younger, before I was even a wrestler, telling stories about me getting kicked out of the Philadelphia Spectrum by who's the big guy, the big wrestler that was I can't remember his name, but I was carrying pieces of the steel cage when I was drunk and like 18 against Andre the Giant against Big John Studd. And another time I smacked Snook on the back. I got thrown out of the building again. Just stuff like that. I mean, there's so much that they put on the cutting room floor. There's easily another hour documentary about it.
I could do a 3-hour film or a docu-series about you and the stories. Trust me.
Oh, I know. My stories have stories.
Speaking of your stories, Tommy mentioned one early in the show. Follow up on it. How the hell were you high-fiving Michael Jordan?
All right, so this is a great story. So I'm actually, when I moved out to Salt Lake City to start that construction company, because the Olympics were coming 6 years later. So I'm out there and I'm going, and one of the kids that worked for me in Pennsylvania, he was ready to do something else. So I took him out there with me. We were on our way to his house for a picnic that day. We're driving down I-15 going south past the city, and Ty goes, "Yo, the game's on. The game's here today." I went, pulled right in, talked to the first, went to a red light, put my head out the door. I said, "Who's got tickets?" And I only have a credit card. The guy's like, "Here." Guy said, "Here, follow me." I parked. I left Lori in the van with Kelly. Me and Tyler went in because I wanted him to see what I was doing and see how it works and stuff. We went into a room in like '96. There was all these computers, everything. I had never paid with a credit card from a scalper before. So I bought 11 tickets for all of us, my family and theirs, to go to the game. It was luck. If Ty didn't see that billboard, then I wouldn't have went. So after the game, we all went to the hotel, hung out in the lobby of the hotel, and my kids got pictures with a bunch of the other guys on the team, and then I got to high five Jordan when he only high fives me and my business partner there going through the lobby.
Cool.
And then I'm on the last 15 minutes of episode 10. I popped huge when I was watching it. Like jumped out of bed. I mean, Jordan was my first all-time favorite athlete.
Favorite moment from your career? What's one that stands out for you?
Oh, there's a lot of them. There's just so many of them. But me and Tommy, the blind angle. Me and Tommy, the 10 lashes angle. Me and Sabu, ladders, stables, chairs, lions, tigers, bears. Oh my, the funk stuff that I did, the pay-per-view, the three-way. There's some of the ones that stick out the most.
I think the one that sticks out to me the most is the night that you returned to ECW, because the pop is so loud you can't hear your music playing on TV. And I don't think I've ever experienced that before.
Oh man, how jacked was I there?
Oh my God, you had more gas running through you than Exxon and Mobil.
Was the best day I ever looked in my life. I think I weighed 293 or 294 that night. Yeah, that was fun. That was electric.
I can't remember what I wanted to say. There's so many things I wanted to say. Let me ask you, because we're at commercial break, coming out of commercial break. Enter the Sandman comes on. We're all bopping our heads, and you're just you. Do you actually like that song?
No, I love the song, but I can't let it be important to me. Like I don't listen to like music in cars and stuff like that, but I don't want to hear that song unless I'm going to the ring. I want to keep it that special.
Nice. Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
I never want to hear that song.
So talk about the reactions. We saw it in the ECW arena for our WrestleMania party at the beginning of April. Just 1,200 people, singing along to that song as you're coming out. Like how does that feel? Like you say you want to keep it special, but just talk about what's going on inside you when you.
I'm electric. I can light up New York City on a New Year's Eve. That's how juice joy. I said in the documentary, if there's a time in my life that I got to live, if it's Groundhog Day, I want to do Groundhog Day and start it out with my entrance every day.
Hack, one of the things that I found amazing coming up in the wrestling business is the amount of knowledge that I gained by eavesdropping on you and Raven. You guys are the masters of the art of the run-in, the masters of layering, the masters of doing absolutely nothing while it looked like something was going on. And as me and you joke about all the time, I've now become a master of doing absolutely nothing while it seems like a lot is going on. Now, how did you gain that knowledge? Did you learn from Scotty or did you learn it from somebody else?
Well, no, I learned it from Scotty, but what made it get deeper was there was so many more layers because you got Nova, you got Meanie, you got this guy, you got the booger picking moron, you got my kid, you got my wife. So that's where you get to, hey, we would do two, maybe three sets of falses with each one of those guys during like a half-hour match or something like that. So that's where I start to learn the layering, but I didn't even know it really. I never even practiced a false finish until I got in the ring with Raven. Because mine and Tommy's feud was it was different than that, Well, we were both real young and super green at that point, so I guess it was just a matter of listening to the right people. You know what I'm saying? That were smarter than you.
The difference is with you and I. We were angle driven. and our matches, we would kind of just beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Raven helped both of us, just like we helped him take all of us to the next level. None of us would be here without each other, but
I agree.
Raven took us to the next level while he was also trying to take his career to the next level. And I mean, we always say, without Raven, there's no Sandman, there's no Dreamer. Without Dreamer, there's no Raven. Like, so I mean, we're all linked together. If I could tell an awesome Sandman story, I don't know if he remembers. That's why I need to be on his podcast for Hack Facts. We're in LA and we're going to go see Metallica. Do you remember this?
No.
Okay, 100,000 people, LA Coliseum. Sandman used to always have a water Mountain Dew cup that was maybe one little bit full of Mountain Dew and the rest full of vodka. And we're waiting. Joe C we're waiting for him to bring us out. Again, this is LA Coliseum, 100,000 people. Like, they have Metallica, all that stuff. So Sandman, and like Bully said, is a fountain of information or misinformation if you're Gorilla Monsoon. He sees a police officer with a Chips bike and he goes, "Yo, is that the new Harley? Blah, 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 blah." And the cop's like, "Yeah, oh, Sandman, what's up? ECW, whatever." So he's like, "Yo, you mind if I drive it?" And he then hands the cop his Mountain Dew cup full of alcohol and is driving around in the Chips motorcycle where he's been partying for days, and then gets off the bike. And then to top that, because this is just a day in the life of the Sandman, when Metallica comes on stage, I don't know if it's the sun, the alcohol, whatever's going through his veins, they hit Enter the Sandman, and he has had these moments with me. He's just like, "Bro, I got to do it. See ya." And he just goes and merges on stage and holds his cane up. I mean, his arm up like he's holding a fake cane. And I feel in his head, everyone was there to see the Sandman when Enter the Sandman was played, when Metallica is playing it. And he's like, "This is all for me, guys." And we're like, "You're such an asshole. Get down."
Oh my! If you would have said to me, "Yo, Hack, you remember the time you were on stage in Metallica?" I would have been, "What are you talking about?" I remember that stuff. Wow. That's why I can't write a book, because I'd have to give chapters to everybody to tell the stories.
Ghost Riders.
But you do have a documentary.
Right, like 18 of them.
You can maybe remember a lot of what you've forgotten by listening to the Sandman podcast. So, like, while you're preparing for the podcast, like, what do you do? Because, like you said, there's so many stories. Like, how do you kind of jog your memory with some of these stories when you're preparing for your show?
Well, we're a lot of it's like we did 3 segments just on WrestleMania. We did a segment last week about my 3-way match with Funk and Stevie at the pay-per-view. So it's kind of driven like that. So a lot of my homework right now has been to have watched that match, because you probably forgot half of it anyway. So I know what I can do, what to talk about on my podcast so far.
Hack, when you went to WWE and you were part of the ECW brand over there, obviously it wasn't what we know and love of ECW, but did you enjoy being there?
Yeah, well, until they moved me to Raw on that draft day, it was fine. But then this guy's left, and this guy's gone. You know what I'm saying? They wanted. It's another time I hung up on. Who was the guy that would call you all the time back then?
Howard Finkel.
No, the younger kid. But I hung up on him. Remember, he called me and said that you wanted to work for Vince. I said, "Dude, I don't know who the hell you are, but don't call me back." And then the same dude calls and says I was drafted to Raw. I'm like, "Drafted? What the fuck?" I didn't even know they had a draft. That's how ignorant I was to the company, because I didn't watch it.
It was Carano.
Yeah, Carano. And I'm like, "Mark, I don't want to go to Raw. I don't know anybody there. I'm going to be miserable." He's like, "Well, you're beat. Be Raw tomorrow."
You've been drafted.
I swear I had no idea what the draft was. He had to explain it to me.
You know, we were talking about it earlier, and you mentioned it as one of your favorite memories, the 10 lashes on Tommy. And we talked about how Tommy was perceived before that and then immediately afterwards. did you know that it was going to turn the tide with the fans as it did? Because really, after that moment, the fans looked at Tommy a completely different way.
I don't. No, because now I could see that if I was doing it because I know much more about the business. But back then, no, I'm in the moment. I'm not really looking to the future because I don't even know what the future is. I'm just happy being right here, right now.
Peel back the curtain. I remember again, we don't have scripts. This is all on the fly. And I remember going up to him like after I took them, and I'm in his face and I'm just talking to him, and I was like, I'm never going to quit. I'm never going to stop. I'm going to continue coming forward. And his lip is quivering because like it's so emotional. And then I turn around and then he shoot kicked me a bunch more times, which again was just I didn't know it was coming. And then in the back, we embraced like we were like best friends, like the most genuine love that two people can have for each other, because we knew what we just did was magical. And but I'll never forget his lip quivering. And then he was like, "We got him!" Like just like, and I'm like, "Okay, my back is really messed up right now." He's like, "Oh, sorry," and then just continues on.
And Nancy just added that
Sold that.
unbelievable texture of the sexuality of the situation too, and the brutality. Wow, she like raised it even more.
Do you remember how you became the Sandman or no?
Yeah, Joel Goodhart. I'm working.
No. Not the swimsuit guy. Just you.
Well, it all started when Paul Heyman, when I told him I didn't have my wrestling gear with me, he goes, "I freaking care." And then I'm like, "Hey, I don't." Light bulb went off. I said, "I can go out there and just be me now, and not have to be a character." And the only reason I had the surfboard and the wetsuit was because Jerry Lawler asked Goodhart for a couple dudes to go down to USWA, and it's around 8 months before they eventually closed. So I'm working on top with Lawler down there in Evansville with 23 people in the audience.
And those matches were -5 stars, everybody.
Literally.
Amazing. You can hear more on the Sandman podcast. Sir, thank you so much for the time.